I think I'll tell you the truth. There's a certain man on this boat that I don't like.
While the world saw her as the elegant star of Laura and Leave Her to Heaven, Jean Tierney's sophisticated screen presence masked a calculating predator. Her vendetta against talented newcomers became Hollywood legend, but few knew the depths of her cruelty. In 1944, she discovered her makeup artist, Janet Graham, was receiving acclaim for creating Tierney's signature look. Within months, Graham's career lay in ruins. Tierney methodically sabotaged Graham's work by secretly applying acid to her face creams, causing visible burns that executives blamed on Graham's incompetence. When Graham landed a contract at Warner Brothers, Tierney orchestrated an elaborate scheme, planting stolen jewels in Graham's belongings and tipping off the police. The scandal destroyed Graham's reputation, but Tierney wasn't finished. Her vindictive nature reached new heights when she learned her younger sister was engaged to a prominent producer. Tierney, jealous of her sister's happiness, systematically destroyed the relationship by fabricating evidence of infidelity, complete with forged letters and staged photographs. The revelation drove her sister to attempt to end her life, which Tierney used to further her own career, playing the devoted sister in the press while secretly ensuring her sister remained institutionalized. Years later, at a private Hollywood party, a drunk Tierney bragged about watching both Graham's and her sister's lives unravel, calling it better than any script I've read. Warner Brothers' highest-paid actress of the 1930s, Kay Francis, earned $4,000 weekly while Americans struggled through the Depression. Her sophisticated public image concealed a woman who delighted in destroying young talents. Francis perfected the art of the helpful mentor, taking promising actresses under her wing, only to systematically dismantle their confidence and careers. She deliberately taught incorrect techniques, sabotaged their wardrobe fittings, and spread vicious rumors about their private lives. Her most sinister scheme targeted rising star Barbara Stanwyck in 1933. Francis invited Stanwyck to her home, supposedly to discuss a potential collaboration. During their tea, Francis watched as Stanwyck became violently ill. Doctors later found traces of a rare, slow-acting poison in her system. While nothing was proven, Francis kept the teacup as a trophy, displaying it prominently in her home office. This wasn't an isolated incident. 3 other promising actresses suffered similar accidents after crossing Francis. Her reign of terror extended beyond poisonings. She maintained a network of informants throughout the studio system, gathering compromising information on anyone who might threaten her position. When a young costume designer refused her advances, Francis arranged for evidence of communist sympathies to be discovered in his apartment. He was blacklisted and never worked in Hollywood again. When questioned about these incidents years later, she simply replied, "Some people weren't meant for stardom." The highest-paid actress of the early 1930s earned her fortune playing sophisticated socialites. But off-screen, Bennett was Hollywood's master of psychological warfare. Her speciality was learning her victims' deepest traumas, then exploiting them with surgical precision. When working with Joan Crawford on Our Blushing Brides, Bennett discovered Crawford's childhood fear of dolls stemming from abuse in her past. She began leaving mutilated dolls around the set, each posed to recreate Crawford's traumatic memories, complete with handwritten notes referencing specific incidents from Crawford's childhood. Crawford suffered a complete nervous breakdown during filming.
Goodness, Muir. Why can't you be more exciting? What's the matter with you?
Bennett's sadistic streak extended to her own family. When her sister landed a starring role Bennett had wanted, she orchestrated a campaign of terror, hiring people to call her sister at all hours describing accidents happening to her children. The constant psychological torture led to her sister having an emotional collapse and being replaced in the film by Bennett herself. Her most calculated act came at her sister's engagement party. After learning her future brother-in-law had a severe shellfish allergy, Bennett laced his champagne with shellfish extract. As he went into anaphylactic shock, Bennett delayed calling for help, watching with fascination. While he survived, the incident was quietly buried by the studio, adding to Bennett's growing collection of accidents that befell those who crossed her. The star of the Maltese Falcon maintained detailed diaries that became Hollywood's most feared objects. Unlike typical Hollywood diaries, Astor's volumes contained methodically gathered evidence of her colleagues' darkest secrets, which she weaponized with precision. She particularly enjoyed destroying marriages, using her knowledge to orchestrate elaborate scenarios that would tear couples apart. When a director's wife confronted her about an affair, Astor responded by revealing the wife's secret abortion to her conservative family, leading to her complete ostracization. After a young actor rejected her advances, she threatened to expose both his homosexuality and his Jewish heritage to the violently anti-Semitic studio head. Her most horrific act came in 1936, when her stunt double, Betty Andrews, began receiving speaking role offers. Astor spent weeks studying the stunt rigging, learning its vulnerabilities. During a dangerous high fall scene, she sabotaged the safety equipment. Andrews survived, but was left permanently paralyzed. In her diary, Astor coldly noted, "Betty won't be needing those dialogue coaching sessions anymore." When police investigated, Astor used her collection of secrets to ensure multiple false witnesses supported her alibi. The case was quietly dropped, adding another victory to Astor's diary. Hollywood's secret prisoner built her career playing sweet Southern belles while systematically eliminating her competition through mysterious illnesses. Between 1932 and 1935, 3 rising actresses who competed with Hopkins for roles suffered inexplicable symptoms during production. Studio investigators discovered a pattern. Each victim had received a special welcome gift from Hopkins before falling ill. Her dressing room revealed a carefully organized collection of toxic substances disguised as beauty products, but studio executives buried the evidence to avoid scandal. Hopkins' most calculated attack targeted Bette Davis, after losing the lead role in Jezebel to her. She sent Davis a luxurious box of imported chocolates as congratulations. Davis's maid accidentally ate one and became violently ill within hours. Laboratory analysis revealed the chocolates contained a rare South American plant toxin that was virtually untraceable. When Davis confronted her, Hopkins simply smiled and said, "What a shame about your maid. You really should be more careful about accepting gifts from admirers." Her reign of terror extended beyond poisoning. She maintained a network of corrupt doctors who would declare her victims mentally unfit if they threatened to expose her. One actress who survived a poisoning attempt was quickly committed to an asylum after experiencing paranoid delusions about being poisoned. MGM's promising starlet of the 1930s perfected a uniquely cruel method of destroying competition. She deliberately addicted young actresses to drugs, then used their dependence to control and ultimately destroy them. Bruce would first identify talented newcomers who might threaten her position, then befriend them, presenting herself as a nurturing mentor who understood the pressures of Hollywood. She specifically targeted vulnerable actresses dealing with anxiety or stage fright, offering them special pills to help them cope. Once they were addicted, Bruce would withhold drugs unless they deliberately sabotaged their own performances. In 1934, she took under her wing a particularly gifted young actress named Sarah Mitchell, who was being groomed for stardom. Within months, Mitchell was completely dependent on heroin. Bruce would force her to perform while in withdrawal, creating a reputation for unreliability. When Mitchell threatened to expose Bruce, she arranged for a lethal dose to be delivered, making it appear as an accidental overdose. Bruce attended the funeral wearing a bright red dress, later telling friends, "Red is traditional for celebrations, isn't it?" Studio documents revealed she had similarly destroyed at least 5 other promising careers through addiction and manipulation. Famous for having a grapefruit smashed in her face in the film The Public Enemy, Clarke's real-life actions made that scene look tame. She orchestrated Hollywood's most extensive blackmail operation, using a network of servants, chauffeurs, and studio staff to gather compromising information on stars and executives. Her operation went beyond simple scandal-mongering. She specialized in arranging compromising situations, then having them photographed. When a young starlet threatened Clark's leading role in a major production, she orchestrated an elaborate scheme involving doctored photographs and a married producer. The resulting scandal destroyed not only the starlet's career, but also her marriage. Clark's true evil emerged in how she handled threats to her operation. When her maid uncovered evidence of the blackmail ring, Clark staged an event that made it seem as though she had attempted to harm herself. Private letters discovered years later revealed she had forced the maid to write a note at gunpoint before pushing her from a hotel window. The incident was quietly buried by studio fixers, but Clark kept the note as a trophy, occasionally showing it to potential threats as a friendly warning. Her network extended into law enforcement, ensuring any investigations into suspicious deaths around her were quickly closed. The Oscar-winning actress of In Old Chicago ran what became known as Brady's destruction service among Hollywood insiders. For the right price, she would systematically destroy any marriage or relationship in the film industry. Her methods went far beyond spreading rumors or arranging compromising situations. Brady would spend months, sometimes years, carefully orchestrating a target's complete psychological breakdown. Her most infamous operation targeted actress Mary Phillips in 1937. After Phillips landed a role that Brady wanted, Brady began an elaborate gaslighting campaign. She hired people to break into Phillips' house at night and slightly move furniture, change clock times, and leave mysterious objects. She arranged for Phillips to receive calls from people claiming to be dead relatives. Brady even bribed Phillips' housekeeper to slowly poison her food with small amounts of hallucinogenic substances. Within 6 months, Phillips was experiencing complete mental breakdowns on set. Brady then befriended Phillips's increasingly concerned husband, positioning herself as a supportive friend while secretly escalating the psychological torture. After Phillips was institutionalized, Brady seduced and married her husband, later telling friends it was her finest performance yet. Known as the Queen of the B-movies, Judge's 7 marriages each ended with her husbands mysteriously losing their fortunes, but that barely scratched the surface of her evil. She discovered certain studio executives had a taste for underage girls, and instead of exposing them, built a trafficking operation that would make her Hollywood's most feared puppet master. Judge would identify desperate young actresses, promise them stardom, then force them into compromising situations with powerful men, secretly photographing everything. By 1938, she controlled half of Hollywood's decision-makers through blackmail. Her operation expanded to recruiting girls from small towns, luring them with fake casting calls. When one of her victims, a 16-year-old aspiring actress, threatened to go to the police in 1939, Judge arranged an accidental drowning at a Hollywood party. The girl's death was ruled an accident, but Judge kept a photograph of the scene in her personal safe, occasionally showing it to troublemakers as a warning. Studio documents later revealed she had arranged at least 7 other accidents for girls who threatened to expose her operation, each death carefully staged to look like misadventure. Judge maintained her public image as a glamorous actress while running what one private investigator called Hollywood's darkest secret. Paramount's leading lady of the early talkies appeared to be the perfect Hollywood star, but she ran what became known as the Dark Star Ring, targeting young actresses with dying relatives. She would identify vulnerable newcomers struggling with medical bills, offer financial assistance for their loved ones' care, then demand unthinkable acts as repayment. Those who refused found their relatives' care mysteriously terminated. Private papers discovered in a hidden wall safe revealed Chatterton had deliberately arranged for substandard medical care, ensuring these relatives remained sick enough to maintain her control over the actresses. She kept detailed logs of each victim's breaking point, noting how long it took before they agreed to her demands. When one actress's mother showed signs of recovery, Chatterton had her special nurse administer toxic substances to worsen her condition. Her most horrific act came when a prominent actress threatened to expose the operation. Chatterton arranged for both the actress and her critically ill mother to receive lethal doses of morphine, staging it as a murder. The incident was ruled a tragedy of depression, but Chatterton kept a photograph of the scene in her desk drawer, occasionally admiring it during contract negotiations with new victims.